It was the moment the nation held its breath, the crowd erupting as the US scored that goal. Flags waving, voices cracking, and for a heartbeat, America believed it had finally arrived in the world's game. But when the noise faded, something deeper lingered, a question no one wanted to ask. If we have the talent, the speed, the strength, why do we still feel a step behind? Maybe it's not about effort, but understanding. Maybe we've been chasing football like a race, when it's really a rhythm. Today, we'll uncover what US players still don't fully grasp about the beautiful game, and why seeing it differently could change everything. Before we dive in, if you've ever sat on your couch yelling, "We should be better than this," hit that like button and subscribe, because you're exactly who this channel was made for. Meet Dax Monroe, 27, born and raised in Kansas City. To his friends, he's the guy who never missed a training session, the one who ran suicides until the lights went out. On paper, Dax had it all: speed, endurance, discipline. But deep down, he always felt like something about the game didn't fully click. He grew up surrounded by NFL Sundays and NBA highlight reels, where hustle and heroics defined greatness. When he picked up a soccer ball, he brought that same American grit, the drive to outwork, outrun, outmuscle anyone in his way. But football, real football, didn't always reward that kind of effort. The more Dax played, the more he realized the game seemed to breathe differently. He'd press high, sprint hard, and still find himself 2 passes behind the rhythm. He wasn't lazy, not clueless, just thinking in straight lines in a game built on rhythm, misdirection, and patience. Now a youth coach, Dax sees that same fire in his players, kids who push harder instead of pausing to see. And that's when it hit him. The real difference isn't talent, it's tempo. The world's best don't chase the game, they let it unfold around them. Dax made it his mission to teach young Americans not just how to play football, but how to feel it, the heartbeat between the passes, the calm before the strike. Because mastering football isn't about more effort, it's about deeper awareness. For most American players, speed feels like the ultimate weapon. From Pop Warner to high school track, the message is always the same: move faster, think faster, win faster. Dax Monroe once believed that too. He'd blast down the wing, desperate to create something before the defender caught him. But no matter how hard he ran, the ball always seemed to belong to someone else. Someone slower, calmer, quieter. That's when it started to click. Football wasn't a sprint. It was a rhythm, a language. Every touch, every pause, every glance between players was like a line in an ongoing conversation. The best teams didn't rush through it. They listened first. They read the game's tone, waited for the right question to be asked, and then answered with a pass that spoke volumes. In the US, we sprint to the finish. In Europe, they whisper before they strike. That's not because they're more skilled. It's because they understand silence as part of the music. Dax realized that in football, patience isn't hesitation, it's anticipation. When you slow down just enough to see, you start to notice invisible patterns. Defenders leaning too far, midfielders waiting in half spaces, the field breathing in waves instead of lines. This shift didn't just change how Dax played, it changed how he saw the game. His players began practicing listening drills, passing sequences done in silence, focusing on rhythm over result. The more they played that way, the more fluent they became. Suddenly, football wasn't a grind. It was a dialogue between instinct and intelligence. And maybe that's the lesson for every American player chasing greatness. The game doesn't reward the loudest effort. It rewards those who can hear its heartbeat. Be honest. When you play, do you look for the pass or the finish? Drop your answer below. The second truth: you can't outsmart what you don't feel. Dax Monroe had spent years memorizing drills, cone runs, formation patterns, timed passes, all the things American training values most. Every session was measured: distance covered, sprint speed, completion percentage. But deep down, something about that formulaic precision started to feel empty. His players could execute flawlessly in practice, yet freeze when the game turned unpredictable. That's when Dax realized the missing piece. You can't outthink what you don't feel. Football isn't chess played with cleats. It's jazz in motion. The best players don't simply calculate, they sense. They feel the momentum of a match the way a musician feels the tempo change in a song. They recognize when energy rises, when space opens, when emotion shifts. It's not about predicting the play. It's about being present enough to feel it unfolding. In the US, we love stats. We worship analytics, charts, and control. But football doesn't reward control, it rewards intuition. And that's something you can't program, you have to live it. Dax started teaching his players something radical. Before you move the ball, feel the field. Hear the crowd, read your teammates' posture, sense the defender's hesitation. Great football IQ isn't born in spreadsheets, it's born in awareness. Think of it like LeBron James on the basketball court. He doesn't just see the pass, he feels where it should go, a split second before anyone else realizes it. That's not luck, that's rhythm, connection, instinct. That's football IQ, not European flair, but universal flow. Once Dax began coaching through emotion and intuition, something shifted. His players stopped rushing. They started responding. Their decisions became faster, yet calmer. Their movements, deliberate, almost poetic. And what he discovered next changed everything about how he trained, how he watched, and how he understood the beautiful game. Because real intelligence on the field doesn't come from the head, it starts in the heart. The third truth, football is an art form, not a system. For as long as Dax Monroe could remember, the American sports mindset had been built on systems. Playbooks, formations, strategies, every inch of the field mapped, every second planned. In football, that same approach showed up everywhere. Youth teams memorized set plays. Coaches drew diagrams like engineers. Players moved like pieces on a board, not artists on a canvas. But one night, while watching a grainy clip of kids in Rio juggling a worn-out ball on the street, Dax saw something different. There were no cones, no drills, no whistles, just rhythm, laughter, and creativity. Mistakes turned into moves. Pressure became play. That's when it hit him. Football thrives where freedom lives. He realized that the beauty of the game isn't in the system, it's in the spark. The most unforgettable moments in football history, Pele's dance, Iniesta's touch, Messi's glide, weren't drawn from a playbook. They were born from instinct, joy, and trust. So Dax did something few American coaches dared to do. He tore up his training plan. Instead of rehearsing predictable patterns, he told his players to play freely, to take risks, to express themselves. And that's when everything changed. The tension left their faces. The hesitation disappeared. They smiled again, and suddenly, their football came alive. They weren't playing to avoid mistakes anymore. They were playing to create moments. The ball started moving with rhythm, personality, and soul. Dax realized that true football intelligence wasn't just tactical. It was emotional artistry. And maybe that's where America's next breakthrough begins. Not by copying Europe's systems, but by finding its own creative voice. Because when football stops being a set of rules and starts being a form of art, players stop performing and start expressing. Have you ever played your best game when you stopped overthinking? Tell us in the comments. This one hits home. The awakening, the day it finally clicked. It happened on a windy Saturday morning. Dax Monroe stood on the sideline, half distracted by the sound of cleats scraping against turf and the familiar echo of his own voice yelling instructions. His team had been training hard for weeks, structured drills, tactical rehearsals, all the textbook moves. But something always felt off, robotic, predictable, almost lifeless. Then it happened. A young midfielder named Eli received the ball near midfield. Instead of making the safe pass to the wing, the one Dax had drilled 100 times, Eli looked away, sold a feint to the right, and with a flick of his ankle, curved a no-look pass straight through two defenders. The crowd gasped. The striker ran onto it perfectly. Goal. Chaos. Laughter. For the first time, Dax didn't shout. He just stood there, stunned, watching his players celebrate something unscripted. In that instant, everything he'd been teaching flipped on its head. The beautiful game wasn't about control, it was about connection. It was about trusting the moment, trusting each other, and allowing instinct to breathe. What Eli did couldn't be coached. It had to be felt. And that realization hit Dax deeper than any victory ever could. He understood that football, at its heart, wasn't foreign or European. It was human. The same creative pulse that made America the birthplace of jazz, of streetball, of innovation, lived inside this sport too. Maybe the answer wasn't to imitate Europe's rhythm, but to rediscover what made America creative in the first place. Freedom, imagination, courage to try the impossible. From that day forward, Dax stopped coaching for perfection and started coaching for connection. He wanted every player to experience that same spark, the joy of expressing, not impressing. Because the second you stop playing to fit the system, that's when you finally start feeling the game. From that moment on, Dax Monroe stopped coaching to win. He started coaching to awaken. His practices no longer sounded like instruction. They sounded like discovery. Kids weren't memorizing plays. They were exploring possibilities. Mistakes became lessons. Risks became habits. Freedom wasn't something to fear anymore. It was fuel. He watched his players begin to move with confidence and creativity, blending American intensity with authentic joy. And for the first time, their football didn't look like anyone else's. It wasn't European. It wasn't South American. It was something new, something theirs. That's when Dax realized the real revolution in American football wouldn't come from copying another nation's system. It would come from trusting our own identity. Because the moment the US stops trying to play like everyone else is the moment we finally belong on the world stage. Football was never about catching up. It's about waking up. It's about understanding that greatness doesn't come from imitation. It comes from imagination. And maybe, just maybe, the most American thing we can do on a football pitch is to stop following and start creating. If this hit you, don't just scroll. Take a second. Because somewhere out there, a young player or coach is fighting the same battle Dax Monroe once did, trying to find the heartbeat of a game that can't be scripted. So share this video with them. You might just be the reason they finally get it. Hit that like button if you believe America's football story isn't written yet. It's just waiting for a generation bold enough to write it differently. And subscribe to Football Mindset IQ, where we don't just watch football, we understand it. Here, we break down the mind of the game, the rhythm, the emotion, the unseen patterns that separate the good from the unforgettable. This isn't just a channel. It's a movement for players who think deeper, coaches who teach freer, and fans who feel the game beyond the scoreboard. Because real football IQ starts in the heart, not the stat sheet. And before you go, here's your teaser. Next up, why America's biggest strength might be the one thing the world isn't ready for. You don't want to miss it. Trust me.